Athena fitted the bill for us, particularly when it came to the curricular improvement or improving student outcomes there. And what this allowed us to do is to use rich objective data, quantitative data there that could be tabulated, formulated and presented in a way that our year heads particularly can use in framing their conversation with their students about how they can improve. And that too supporting subject teachers by tracking how their respective students are performing, and their own target setting that's built into that platform as well is incredibly important. So for us, Athena offers a one-stop shop to frame those conversations in a manner that's much more meaningful than we have had to date, to be perfectly honest with you. So Athena is a perfect match for the work that goes on in the school. We would call it here now like the Apple version of data tracking in terms of the user-friendly of the interface. But that said, that user-friendliness, it doesn't take away from the power that the platform offers to us as end users, whether that be as teachers, school management, students or parents. And what do I mean by that in terms of that user-friendliness? It captures data in real time for us. It presents that information in a very user-friendly format, which is incredibly important. Whether that be with our year heads speaking to our students directly, which is often a very challenging space to carve out and to create a meaningful conversation, where we use that framework now as the conversation starter in those discussions between the year head and the student around the performance of the student. But equally, when we're talking about parent-teacher meetings now becoming more effective, that the Athena Tracker platform is a fantastic example of a way of being able to graphic to parents, particularly in a day school setting, how well their son or daughter is getting on in this context. You know, sometimes students, particularly in a day school, has difficulty accessing that space. So when we talk about teaching, learning, assessment and reporting, this is where really Athena comes into its own in that regard, because it allows not only the teacher but also the student to get a real insight to how they are progressing at any given time in their learning. From the teacher's perspective, it is to some extent going to replace, or I certainly see it here, replacing the old teacher journal, because it allows them in a very user-friendly way to upload their results, whether that be class tests, summative assessments, formative assessments that can take place, into a very secure platform, GDPR compliant, recognised with VSWare, synergised with their class list of VSWare, in a space where they no longer have to try and scribble on the back of a teacher notepad, but rather onto the platform. And when it comes to either reporting to the student or reporting to parents, they have a very user-friendly platform in there, and that's wonderful. So from a teacher's perspective, certainly the feedback that we are receiving at this stage is very positive in that regard, very user-friendly in terms of retrieving information and cataloguing, assessment and results there. It's been very good. Where we find it at a management level in the school, it has replaced maybe a more cumbersome approach and time-consuming approach that we would have had in the school by way of year heads accessing data and being able to triangulate that data in against of where a student was at a particular given time. As a principal, I can see where students are at, as year groups are at. Your heads can really monitor in a meaningful way the progress of their students, and then subject teachers can really monitor their class groups in a very targeted and specific manner, which is fantastic. For Sarah and the team, they demystify that. They make it very accessible particularly for maybe school leaders that don't need to know the algorithms or the background infrastructure to build something like that, but they guide us through that and make sense of that. And sense making of that data is incredibly important, and how then we can subsequently apply it to decisions or judgments that we may make from a school leadership perspective around curriculum planning, our teams, our post responsibility. And what Sarah and that team do for us is that they really tailorize it in a way that makes us feel that they're just solely working with us as the school. And whether that's their accessibility through the chat function on their website, whether it's through email, the responsiveness there is superb, or on the phone either. So I couldn't rate them highly enough, to be perfectly honest with you.